Hi everyone, today I'm quickly going to show you how to animate this bar chart in After Effects. Okay, let's jump in. Right, what you'll see here is I've already separated everything out. So you'll see that I have my background and some other layers and some text layers here, but I'm only going to show you how to animate all of these. So I want them to animate in from left to right, so following the date. So to do that, I separated them out according to their shapes. So you'll see all the bars are basically individual shape layers. Select them. I'm pressing the button next to Z, or I think it's called the tilde key, to maximize the window that my mouse is over. So I'm maximizing the layer stack here, and then I'm going to change the color of all of these so that I can select them later to green. So you can see the green over there, and I'm going to lock all the rest, so just so we don't mess up anything. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to select all these layers, just drag select across all of them because I have locked all the other layers. And then what I'm going to do is I want to animate them all coming up from the bottom, so you'll see the anchor points are all on the wrong place. So I'm using Motion 4. I'll put a download link in the description, and then the plugin I used to pull all the files straight from Illustrator into After Effects is called Overlord, which is also amazing. If you want to move the anchor points yourself, then you can just press Y, and then you can drag the anchor points up and down. Okay, all our anchor points are down here. You can start animating. So normally what you would think you want to do is you'd want to move all the anchor points to the bottom and then scale it up only on the Y-axis so that it doesn't squish on the width. But the problem is you can't, unless you're using some kind of fancy script, which I don't have. You're going to have to separate all of these, the X and the Y axis by hand. So all of these layers, you're going to have to click on that little chain icon, which is too much work for me. So what I would do is I would, rather than using scale here, I would use a mask or a set mat to move all of them up and down into their final position. So it doesn't really matter about the anchor points at the moment. So what we do then is we just want to test out if we can do a set mat. So for now we can parent all of these just to a null. You can either press null in Motion 4 here and we'll do that, or I'm going to show you how to do it without. That'll just be new null object, and then we're going to right click, select label group, and then we're going to drag the pick whip here to null. So now if we move this null up and down, we're moving all the layers. So we just want to test if our mask will work. So what we want to do is we're going to zoom in here, and we want to mask from the bottom here. I had to zoom in too far, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use Y, and I'm going to move this, and I'm going to keep pressing Control so it locks to move the anchor point, and now when I press V again, I can just scale it up all the way. Okay, great. So now that's our mask. You can just press Enter to rename it, mask. Now we need to test if the set mat is working. So what we'll do is we'll go to Effect and Presets, Set Mat, and we drag it to the rectangle, and then we'll hide the mask so we can see if it's working. And then on the rectangle, we're going to choose to take the mat from the mask layer, and we should invert that mat up and down. Looks like it's working. It's a little bit off, so we might just need to move the mask. Yeah, the mask moved a little bit. So if we zoom in there, we can see that it seems to be working. Great. Alright, so now that that's working, we can copy the set mat to all the other rectangle layers. Click here, Command A, Command C to copy, and then we're going to again select the label group, and we can click in here and we can press paste. So this one probably have two set mats now. So all of them have the set mat now, and to test, it's just, we can select our null and we can move it down, and it looks like it's working. Woohoo, it's working. Is we can start animating them to move from bottom to the top. We're already a minute in, so my animation isn't going to be that long, probably only be 15-20 seconds. So I press N to reduce that, and then I'll just crush timeline because I don't like to work with very long timelines. Right click on the gray bar here, trim comp to work area, so we have a nice and short timeline. And then what we're going to do is we're going to again select all our color groups. So right click, select label group. So about, let's say, well, we want to think about how long the individual animation should be. So I think it'll be about a second. So we can press P, just double check all of them are selected, the tilde key, press P, press position, keyframe, and then about a second back. Okay, so we're not going to press the null now because the null isn't keyframed. We're going to have to individually, or we're going to just make sure all the green are selected, and we can press the down arrow on our keyboard, or we can just zoom in and make sure we select one of those green layers and then move it down. So I'm going to move it, click and hold shift to move them straight down. And okay, all of them are underneath in the mask. I normally just like to select all the keyframes, and then you can press F9, function F9, and then if you go into the graph editor, you can drag select and just move all of them back a little bit. So we have a fast in, slow out. All right, so we can test it quickly. I like that, it's nice and smooth. We can go out of the graph editor. Now we want to go from start to finish, or from left to right. I like to keep things organized, so what I'll do is I'll select all of them and I'll press Alt square bracket, and then we can just crop the layer there. So now we're going to stagger them. So once again, this is where Motion 4 really shines. It's the stagger tool. I really like it. So if you don't have the stagger tool, you're gonna have to manually move them out, which you will do by, you would select, have all of them selected, shift select one below the one you want to deselect. Now we'll see that they're not ordered in the right format. So what I'm going to show you is, normally these things happen is where things aren't cut and pasted correctly from Illustrator. So what happened is the layers got pasted back to front. Best way to do this is just to order them in the timeline so that it doesn't get as confusing. So you can just double check rectangle 1 is the one on the left. Okay, so what we can see is these three have the wrong numbers, the short ones, because they were exported incorrectly. This is actually a good example of how things don't always go as planned. We can just put them in the right place. Select the layers from the bottom to the top. So from 1 to 61 in my case, cut, and Command Shift V to paste in place. So now they've pasted them the right way around. And now we can check more or less where. So we know that I've checked that these three are the bad guys. So it's up to number 9. So we need to put this one, because when I press stagger in Motion 4, it's going to stagger them. If they're in the wrong sequence, that won't work right, won't look right. These two need to go behind number 15. Now everything should be correct. The last one is the last one in the timeline. We'll obviously see what happens when we stagger them, but for now this looks fine. So again, now we're going to just select the color group again, right click, select label group, and then we're going to, if you have Motion 4, you're going to press stagger over here. And if you don't have Motion 4, what you'll do is you would select all of them, shift select the first one below the one you don't want to have selected, and press Alt and page up or page down. So page up, you go up with the layers, and page down. So then you would shift select page down, shift select page down, shift select the bottom one, page down, shift select page down. Going to do that all the way down, but I'm going to undo. I'm going to show you how to do that with stagger. I'm going to find the stagger tool. I'm going to press stagger. We're just going to stagger by 1 frame. And now we can see what it looks like here. Okay, so what you saw now is that the set mat isn't working anymore, because when we copy paste it from bottom to top to fix the layer ordering, it broke the effect. So we need to reapply it. On the first set mat, we changed that back to the mask. But now on the other ones, it's all broken, and we don't want to go in and remove individually each effect on each layer. So what we can do is we can just copy this first one, Command C, and then right click, select label group of all the green ones, and then we're going to press Command Shift E, and it's going to remove the effects across all the layers, all the green layers we've selected. So you see, we can see the bars again. And now what we can do is you can just click here on the effects with all of them selected and paste. And there we go. There. So now we can see the mask is working again. And we have all the layers sliding in. It looks great. Alright, so that was a bit of an up and down on how this stuff works, but I think it gives you a bit of a more open idea of how After Effects works, and sometimes you need to find unique solutions for different problems. So that's what I love about After Effects, is more than one ways to skin a cat. So yeah, if you like this, please like, subscribe, all the normal YouTube stuff, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.